Hello guys, and welcome to Matt's Beamer. Today I'm going to change the rear pads and discs on my 2012 BMW 1 Series. It is a 116 F20. I will do the handbrake adjustment in a different video, so please keep an eye out for that, along with the brake fluid change. I also recommend that you check other videos of a similar nature to help with your confidence. Never do this job if you're not 100% sure. This is a lower end 1 Series, so it gets the standard disc and pad setup. Nothing fancy here. I shall leave a list of tools that I use down below. If I forget anything, I shall add it to the list later. First of all, park the car on a level, firm surface, which is not slippery or fragile. Next, you will need to kick some chocks underneath the front wheels to stop the car rolling forward when jacking up the rear of the car. It was too dark for me to show you in the garage. If you have hubcaps like my car, remove them. If not, jump onto the next stage and loosen those wheel nuts just a little bit. Now, let's get that rear end off the floor. BMW says that you need to jack the rear up by putting the big padded jack under the rear differential. There is a certain point where you need to place the jack. If the jack is in the wrong place, you will mess up your differential. This is where I jack the car up from, and my differential is still perfect. Jack the car up high enough so you can put the jack stands under the side jacking points. Lower the car down onto the jack stands and make sure the car is stable. As you can see, I tried pushing the car left and right to see if it stayed on the jack stands, and thank goodness it did. Now, remove the wheel nuts to remove the wheels. You can also let the handbrake off now. Put the wheel under the car for added protection in case that car might fall. This is what I bought to change the rear brakes and discs. I shall add the part numbers down below. The disc brakes are from HELLA-PAGID. The pads are from the same place too. Buy a new replacement screw to keep the disc in place, and also a brand new spring clip. It is also recommended to replace these 2 bolts here which hold the calipers onto the actual mounting itself. You must get a new sensor. Don't be tight and skimp on this, as you'll have issues later with the computer system. Okay, first of all, we need to disconnect the brake rear sensor, which is located on the right hand side of the vehicle if you are standing behind the car. Undo the plastic 10mm bolt and peel back the wheel arch lining. You will see a little door. Undo the little door and you will see the brake rear sensor plug. You will need to press and pull to remove. Sorry about my camera work. Now, you can start unclipping the wire from the clips as shown. Remember the route of the rear sensor cable. As you work your way back to the caliper, you will come across the bleed nipple. Uncover the nipple to remove the wire from here, but also cover up the nipple afterwards to keep it clean. You can move the sensor from the pad gently with a screwdriver, but they can be very brittle and break. Since I'm throwing away the old pads, I'll save time by leaving it on there. Next, remove the spring clip. BMW recommends that it's replaced with a new one. Watch your face in case it pings off into your face. Behind the caliper are 2 rubber caps. Remove these. You may need a small screwdriver to do so. Now, use the size 8 Allen key socket to remove the sliding pins, which were under these rubber caps. When they are loosened, they should just slide out if they have a nice smooth motion to them. When you have removed these two guiding sliding bolts, the caliper should come off. It may be harder to remove than this video lets you see. When the caliper is out, you can remove the pads. Now, you need to position the caliper so there is no stress on the actual brake line itself. If you put stress on the brake line or hose, it will shorten the life of it. I recommend that you use a coat hanger or spring clip to hold it up in the air next to the actual coil spring itself. I was just trying to find a quick way out. Now, remove the two caliper mounting bracket bolts. It is also recommended that you replace these for new ones. You may need a long breaker bar to do this, because it was a pain in the arse to remove it on this car. I should have eaten more spinach, to be honest. With that out of the way, you can now remove the disc. First, remove the screw and replace later with a new one. There is a huge chance that the disc will be stuck onto the hub. It is recommended that you research what to do before you get to this stage in case you're stuck. We had to hit it with a rubber mallet to shift it. Another reason the disc may be stuck on is because the handbrake may be left on. With the disc removed, you will be greeted with a handbrake system and the naked hub. You need to check the condition of the shoes and adjuster, etc. to make sure that the system is still working okay. Now, make sure you remove the dirt or rust off the caliper bracket with brake cleaner, a wire brush and some sandpaper. It needs to be smooth, especially down in these cutouts and crevices. It also needs to be very smooth here too, to help the pads slide about easier. Basically, anywhere that will be lubricated later needs to be smooth and clean. Also, do the same with the caliper itself. Be careful of the rubber boot on the piston. I was very concerned when I saw that my piston was rusty. I was lucky. Behind the rubber, the piston had no rust on it at all. I just had to carefully make sure that the visible surface on the piston was nice and smooth. Also, make sure the hub gets the same treatment. You will need to lubricate the handbrake area, where I point to. I used a special brake grease. You need to lubricate the adjuster itself, both ends of the spring and the lower ends of the shoes where they pivot. Never get this on the friction material itself. Be very careful. To push the piston back in to the caliper, first make sure the cap on the brake fluid reservoir is loosened. My brake fluid needs changing soon, so that will be another video. Anyway, back to pushing the piston back in. You will need a special tool. This is what I used. Get your old pad, place it over the piston and insert the tool between the caliper and the old pad and wind it down until this tool pushes the pad, forcing the piston back into place until it comes to a gentle stop. I'm sorry that it didn't show well in this video. My camera doesn't work properly in the cold. What I am doing now is coating the hub face with anti-seize. I won't recommend the product. It is what I was sold in a Russian shop. So, as always, research a good one for your country. Now, with the anti-seize evenly covering the face of the hub, you can put the new disc into place. Make sure that all 5 holes line up. And make sure you have a new screw to put in here. On my Pacific car, it told me to tighten it down to 16 Newton meters. When the disc is in place, you can then bolt the caliper housing bracket back on. Make sure you use the new bolt. What I am doing now is pointing to the areas of the housing where I used BMW's brake paste. As you can see, it is silver in colour. For me, it was easier to apply the paste while it was bolted on. Just don't get any on the discs at all. This will stop any resistance for the pads in the housing. You want a nice smooth motion. I also applied the BMW brake paste onto the pads as shown. Do not get any of this onto the friction material. Also, use a good quality brush, not like the one I used. Unfortunately, most of my tools are still in England. When applying the paste, always check with the manufacturers and don't rely on YouTube videos. My pads had a layer of plastic on the back, so I didn't have to use much paste. Sorry about the bad angles of camera work. Also, add paste onto these areas. Also, pay attention to the silver areas on the caliper. Basically, any metal-to-metal contact needs to be lubricated. You should also add some of this paste onto the end of the piston in the caliper. Next, press the inner pad into the piston. You may need some force and make sure you have clean hands and fresh gloves to do this. Now, slide the outer pad into place and make sure the pad can slide backwards and forwards with ease, not getting stuck or caught. Perfect. This is what it should look like so far. Now bring that caliper back into place, making sure it fits easily into place. It should be easy as the caliper should be pressed back into place. When it's in place, it's time to fit the two guide pins. They should be clean and super smooth with no dirt in them at all. If they are damaged or scored, throw them away and get some new ones. Because if they're not perfect, they could seize up the calipers later. When sliding them in gently, move backwards and forwards to see if it's a nice smooth motion. Also, check the conditions of the actual rubber area itself. These need to be torqued down to 28 Nm of torque. Once they're in place, check the motion of the caliper, making sure it moves smoothly. Then add the two rubber caps. Here is the old sensor on the old pad. Fit the new ones in the same position onto the new pads. You will hear a click when it is sitting nicely into place. I had to film this on a later date as my camera died and it gets very dark here in Moscow quickly in the winter. When the sensor is clipped in, fit the wire back the route you took it off. Here is the route it goes. Remember that nipple. Push that sensor back into the plug socket and put the sensor back in a special little cupboard. Tighten up the 10mm bolt, which holds the lining back into place. Do not be ham-fisted because it is just plastic. Next up, fit the new spring clip into place. It should look like this if it's done properly. Keep an eye down below for the link for the handbrake adjustment video. I'm just trying to find a good way to explain it to you, as I don't want to confuse you. Now, install the wheel and torque the bolts down to 140 Nm of torque. You need to tighten them down in a star-shaped motion, as shown. If you have hubcaps, reinstall them. Then, remove your jack stands and lower the car down. Also, make sure you check your brake fluid level and tighten up the reservoir cap. I will make a video on changing the brake fluid soon. Also, make sure you don't forget to reset the rear brake service light. You will need to go to my video titled BMW 1 Series Secret Menu. Follow the instructions there to get the secret menu to appear. While following those instructions, you will find that the service menu will pop up somewhere along the line, if anything is due. Find the rear brake pad's reset screen, basically the back of the car with the brake warning symbol. It says reset possible. Now hold down that black button as shown and you will get the question perform reset. Hold down the button again to confirm and it will turn that red light to a green light, saying that the reset has been completed. Now is the time you need to test your new brakes. Just be careful and aware that they will feel different and need time to bed in. Do not be drastic with them unless you need to be. Test your brakes in a suitable place away from everyone and everything. This was a quick video on how to change the rear brakes on the F20 F21 1 Series. I still advise you to do your homework and watch other DIY videos if you're not 100% sure. And if you're not 100% sure or confident, I recommend that you get a proper mechanic to do the work for you, as the job needs to be done perfectly, as one mistake can be very dangerous. If you like the video, please share, like and subscribe. If you want to add any more information to this video that can be helpful to others, please comment down below. Thank you and take care.